What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rad Pack channel. My name is Justin, and we're back again with another Rad Pack Rad 9 Community Challenge. This time for our Rad 9 movies of 1994. They are essentially a challenge because we want your guys' participation. We want to see your Rad 9 movies of 1994. The movies that you remember watching the most from 1994, whether you have Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, anything. If you want to display and showcase your Rad 9 movies of 1994, post away and be sure and tag myself, Mel, or Garrett. Tag the Rad Pack channel here on YouTube if you make a YouTube video, and we will share yours and give you a little shout out. This was a very tough list for me. 1994, I was 12 years old in 1994. Of course, at that age, you were soaking up everything you consume and a lot of your influences and the movies that you watch the rest of your lives. Usually those are discovered in those formative years. It seems like when I was growing up, every other weekend we were getting another movie that ended up being regarded as a all-time classic. So, of course, that makes it impossibly hard to narrow down a list of 9, but I did my best. No honorable mentions this time, but I have some really good picks. Be sure to watch all of our videos. Myself, Garrett, and Mel all dropped our own individual Rad 9 community challenges, so be sure and check out all of our videos, but we're going to go ahead and kick this off with my Rad 9, and I'm going to start out with one. It's the only one that I don't have a physical copy of, and I don't want to forget about it. These aren't necessarily in order with the exception of maybe the last couple, so we're just going to dive into it. And my personal number 9 is Brain Scan. Edward Furlong battling Trickster in the 90s, super 90s, bad CGI laden horror movie about a video game about a serial killer where you put in this game and you start playing it and you take the perspective of a serial killer. Only in the case of Edward Furlong, the lines between reality and video game start to blur. They start to become as one. Is he really murdering people or is he just playing a game? The sad thing about this movie is that I felt like Trickster was such a strong villain, such a strong character. I was always bummed that we never got any more movies with Trickster. I think he would have made a great franchise villain, but unfortunately we just have the one Brain Scan movie. It's great. If you haven't seen it, it's a little cheesy. It's very 90s, but that's what we love here in the Rad Pack. We love these vintage horror movies. So that's my number 9 is Brain Scan. Next up, my number 8, Interview with the Vampire. In my opinion, my personal favorite vampire movie, and also in my personal opinion, I think it is the best vampire movie ever made. You can fight me in the comments on that if you want to. Great performances, great set design. The direction is amazing. It's a super epic time period piece. It's just so good. If you've been dragging your feet on seeing Interview with the Vampire because maybe seeing Tom Cruise as a vampire just turns you off, I assure you he's fantastic in the role. There was a lot of controversy with the casting in this movie, but I assure you every person that's cast in this movie, and Antonio Banderas, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, it's an incredible movie. Definitely check it out. You can't talk about 1994 movies without mentioning Pulp Fiction. I remember the story I always tell about Pulp Fiction is my dad was a big movie collector. He collected VHS tapes and DVDs. He was one of the first to jump on all these new technologies. So we had a copy of Pulp Fiction. I remember he had a copy of Pulp Fiction and he had a copy of Clerks on his VHS rack. And what I did was he kept them wrapped, and so he knew if I watched them or not. So I took the freshly sealed VHS tapes and I would cut the bottoms of them off with the razor blade and slide the movie out and watch it, slide the movie back, and then put it right back, as if he wouldn't notice if he just pulled it off the shelf. But that's how I was watching all these gnarly movies. But anyway, Pulp Fiction is my number 8. Next up, number 7 is going to be Serial Mom. This is probably my favorite John Waters movie. I love me a good John Waters. I hear he's working on a new project now, but this is such brilliant satire, comedic. It's not really a horror movie, but it has horror elements. It's horror adjacent because Kathleen Turner plays this suburban mom turned wannabe serial killer. But she doesn't kill people at random. She kills people for inane, silly reasons, like she'll kill a neighbor if they don't recycle, or if somebody slightly insults her daughter or something like that. It's really mundane reasons. So she takes the breaks out of her very humdrum life to go and murder people, and it's done in a very comedic way. We have an early performance from Matthew Lillard, Ricky Lake's in this. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. That's Serial Mom from 1994. Next up, this may be the single most quotable comedy for me. I don't know if there's another comedy that I quote more than this. This is written by the same writer that did Airheads, and this is a little movie called The Stoned Age. Anytime I have an excuse to talk about The Stoned Age, I love to take that opportunity because it is such it's such a funny little movie. It's really nothing more than a hangout movie about these two stoner guys who are just looking to get stoned, hang out with babes, and smoke weed, and it's just a blast. But what makes this movie stand out is quite literally almost every line of this movie is so incredibly quotable. You got the talls and you got it's just every line is just quotable. If you have not seen The Stoned Age and you're looking for kind of a stonerish comedy in the way of like, a Dazed and Confused or Cheech and Chong, Airheads, those type of movies, you'll love Stoned Age. It's so fucking good. I wish we could get a Blu-ray of this. Because it's so good. I stole this from Blockbuster when I worked there. Next up on my list, I only had a handful of horror movies on here, which is a little disappointing, but there's some that I just had to put in this list. So next up is Night of the Demons 2. This is my personal favorite in the trilogy. I know there's not huge amount of love for the third one. A lot of people like the first one the best, but there's something about the 90s charm of Night of the Demons 2 that I just can't get enough of. I love it so much. It's a perfect continuation of the movie. It's a little sillier. Like I said, things got a little goofy in the 90s, but the practical effects in this movie, especially towards the end of the movie and the climax, it's just top tier horror. So if you're looking for a 90s horror movie and you have not seen that, look at that cover. Look at that cover, man. Absolutely gnarly, man. So stoked that we got this from Scream Factory. So that is Night of the Demons 2. Next up is another one that I've realized that I left downstairs, unfortunately, but an action thriller from the 90s, and that is the 1994 action movie starring Sandra Bullock, Dennis Hopper, and Keanu Reeves, and that is Speed. Man, did I wear this movie out on VHS. I had this movie on VHS, and I just ran it on a fucking loop. There was a handful of movies that I watched growing up on VHS that I remember distinctly. Demolition Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a bunch of those other ones about the same time. But Speed, I just watched over and over. There's something about that movie that's just so damn entertaining. It's so well shot. It's Sandra Bullock making her like probably the biggest movie that she had made at that point in time. It's just a fantastic action movie. They just don't make them like they used to when it comes to action, and that's a fantastic movie. So my number 3, rather, is Speed. Next up, my number 2 is going to have to be Forrest Gump. I think this is one of the best movies ever made. I love this movie. These last 2 movies that I'm going to talk about are movies that, honestly, if you just don't have a soul if you can watch Forrest Gump and it doesn't hit you right here. If it doesn't hit you right in the heartstrings, there's something wrong with you, man, because Forrest Gump I just love it. It's such an epic journey. Tom Hanks' role, the way he performs that character is just so, oh God, it's so good. It's funny. It's got action. It's a great epic tale of just a character study. It's just, I don't know, I can't say enough good things about Forrest Gump, and it'll rip your heart out, make you laugh. Every kind of emotional journey that you would want to go into watching a movie is in that movie. I love Forrest Gump so much. That's my number 2. Last but certainly not least is one of those movies, kind of like Forrest Gump, that if I catch it on TV or I happen to start watching it, no matter what point the movie's in, I just have to finish it. Forrest Gump is like that, and this next one is that way as well, and that is The Shawshank Redemption, based on a short novel or novella by Stephen King. This movie is so intoxicating. I love something about the way the casting, of course, is everything in this movie. The casting is incredible, but there's something about the way that Frank Darabont wrote and directed this movie. Every moment feels important. Every moment feels like it's just keeping the movie going in this just perfect way. The pacing's great. The acting's great. it's just such an incredible story. And again, it's kind of sad. It kind of pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. But at the end of the day, I just can't get enough of Shawshank Redemption, and that is going to be my #1 in my rad movies of 1994. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to watch Garrett and Mel's video. This is going up for members only. First, we have a members program, so if you want to join and be a member, you guys get to see these videos first, and then a day later they come to the main audience. If you're not a member, look into it. We do members only live streams where we have just our members hop in for a live stream, the special emotes and chat. You get to see the videos 24 hours in advance, so definitely do that. Also, also be sure to check out Studio House Designs if you need an amazing shirt, horror shirt, 90s movie shirt. Go to studiohousedesigns.com and use code RADPACK for 15% off. They have amazing designs. Studio House is one of my longtime favorite t-shirt companies, so be sure and check those guys out. Link will be in the description. But that's it, guys. This is my first video in the new studio on RadPack, so hope you guys are digging that. There's Reagan in the background. But guys, that is it. That is everything for me. That is my Rad 9, and I think we're done here, guys. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.